All right, guys, I'm going to show you how to actually animate your little house building itself. Okay, so first things first, we are in Blender. Last video, we learned how to actually make the glass windows. So now we are going to actually animate the house coming together. All right, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go down here and we're going to need to drag up this bottom bar and go over to this little watch and make sure we are in the timeline. All right, so if yours is in something different, then make sure you switch to timeline, okay? So here, you can control when this animation starts and stops. So mine, I'm gonna set the end time to like 150, all right? So I think on default, it gets set to like 250 or something. So just change that to something smaller. And all that means is that the kind of area of the animation is just smaller. And when you hit space bar, it'll play the animation. Now, of course, nothing's happening, but we can watch the little timeline bar move as it's playing. And I'm going to hit space bar to turn that off. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to set the end frame, all right? Because the very end of this is where we want the house to kind of be all cute and put together. So I'm going to drag this blue timeline kind of bar, and I forget the technical term, but that's what I'm calling it right now. And I'm going to drag it not to the very end, but kind of just somewhere like maybe on the bottom or the last like 1/5 of this timeline. And then what I'm going to do is using my selection button, I'm going to click and drag and grab everything. All right, so all of my house and my floor and everything is selected. And then what I'm going to do is right click and I'm going to click insert keyframe. Okay. So what that means is if I click on just my roof, oops, and I got an extra one, I don't need that one. Oh, delete keyframes. So when I click on my roof or when I click on my objects, you'll see this little diamond right here. All right, so that means that it saved this place in the timeline for the position of where this is, all right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click and drag my little timeline bar to the beginning, okay? And we are now going to zoom out and I'm gonna grab different elements and I'm going to move them really far away and then click on keyframe to kind of say where they're gonna move from. So for example, let me click the roof. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to click my move tool and I'm going to move up on the Z axis, the roof up here. All right, so that's where I want the roof to start from. And then what's going to happen is it's going to end up coming down and resting on the house at the end of the animation. So once I have the roof where I want it to start, I'm going to click I. And what that does in my timeline is that just inserts another little diamond, which means that that's where it spawns from. So if we now hit the space bar, there we see the roof floating down from where I put it. Okay. So that's the roof. He's good. So now I'm going to drag and grab a different part of the house. So I'm going to grab maybe the actual house itself. And maybe this house actually comes from below. So I'm going to drag it down here and hit I, which inserts a keyframe. All right. So now if I hit space bar, oops, and I turned on something weird in mine where it does that. So yours hopefully won't do that. Mine for some reason is linking to the house and I got to figure out how to turn that off. Oh, actually, I know how to do it. Turn off house base. I don't want that. Okay. Let me hit space bar again. So I just have the house and the roof set, but we see the roof pops there and the house pops up from the bottom. Perfect. So you can decide how your house is building itself. But that's what you're going to do is you're basically going to drag your kind of timeline bar to the beginning and you're just going to move different elements in different weird places and hit I to mark that as where that element's kind of moving from. So let me grab my different elements. I think I'm going to have my doors kind of come from the front. So I'm moving it over here. hitting I to keyframe that. I think my little doorknob is kind of separate, so I'm going to click my little doorknob, and I'm going to move that real far out. I think I want that even in front of the door, so my door's over here. So move that way far out, hit I, and make sure I'm doing this all in the very first kind of keyframe, or the very front of the animation. My pebbles here, I think I want them to also pop up from the ground like my house was doing. So I'm going to drag that below and hit I. All right, my windows, they actually all are separate. So this is kind of fun because I can kind of pop them all out different ways. So if I put this window over here and hit I, maybe this window comes from actually below I. This window comes from farther out I. And I can even grab two at a time. So I'm going to hold down Shift to grab both these windows because maybe I want them to pop in at the same time. So I'm going to drag them out and hit I. And this part's kind of tedious, but you know what? It's going to look so cool. All we're doing is just marking where we want stuff to fly in from. There we go. To insert keyframe. I'll have this one spawn from below. Grab this one, and I'll have this one fly in from above. Oops. Okay. So now I've kind of moved everything off. Okay. So the beginning of my animation, there should just be the ground. All right. Because everything else is going to fly in as it's animating. So let me hit spacebar to see what this is going to look like. Ooh. So that's pretty cool. So that's just my house and all the elements flying in. So if I want to edit an element, like let's say I don't like, I don't like when my pebbles are popping up or something. Well, you can always click on the element and you'll see here in the timeline where it's popping up. So I could always kind of, adjust things. So, maybe I want my pebbles to pop up faster. So I could go to the point where I want them to pop up faster and I could drag it up and maybe hit I to keyframe that. And so now if I play, well, I guess a better way to do that would be, nope, I want the pebbles. Here, I can drag the keyframe forward where I want them to kind of land. So let's say I want the pebbles to actually show up first. So I'm going to drag up in the animation. There we go. So when I click spacebar to play, we'll see my pebbles are going to pop up before anything else. There they go. They popped up and then everything else pops up. Okay. So we've got the animation now. Now we need to actually export it. So first of all, we're going to click camera. All right. The camera right here. This shows my camera's view. All right. Let's hit spacebar and see the animation come together in the camera view. Okay, good. So I'm going to go to view and I am going to make sure that I have camera to view turned on. And I'm going to click and move around so that the camera is facing where I want it to face. And it's kind of focused on what I want it to focus on. Turn off 3D cursor because I like just better camera to view. Okay, perfect. So that's what I want. All right. So now I'm going to click the camera off so it doesn't move around anymore. Okay. So now to export, what we need to do is we need to go to the output. Okay. And we're going to scroll down and here it says media type, file format PNG. We want to change it from an image to a video. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to go to encoding. And right now it says Matroska whatever that is, we want to change it to an MPEG-4. Okay, that's a video file that we can actually kind of like work with. All right, and down here you can mess with quality and all that, but the default's pretty good, so we'll leave that. And then this is important. We're going to click on the little file button here and tell it where you want to save, because otherwise you're going to lose it. So here is the where to save button, or like a kind of panel. So I'm going to click desktop and just accept. Perfect. Okay, so we're all good now. So now all we need to do is to go to render animation. All right. Now this will take a few minutes because it's having to render all this, right? So just let it do its thing. But when it's done, you should find your animation on your home screen. Okay, so that took a few minutes. Don't worry if your computer starts to make loud noises, just let it do its thing, because what it has to do is render each frame. But now if I open up my desktop and find the file, so here's my file right here, I'm going to double click on it. And here we go. Here is my little animation of the house coming together. Perfect. All right, so good luck. Be patient and don't worry about the rendering process taking a bit, because it takes a little bit. So just trust the process.